Last weekend, an American tourist was killed in Mexico City. Mexico, is it safe?
I don't know.
I had friends just get back from Mexico, and I keep thinking, and I'm just like, wow, I'm just not sure it's safe. Would you go to Mexico?
Oh, no. Sorry.
I probably would if it was one of the inclusive, secure resorts.
I wouldn't go because I'm Puerto Rican, and there's a feud between Mexicans and Puerto Rican, and I would not feel
Afraid
safe.
They'll put you to work?
That's a good one.
Come on. What are you doing over there? Pick up a shovel. No, I'm a tourist. Just pick up a shovel.
Who let the beaner guy in?
That's
hey,
right.
Get back to work.
Travel industry veteran Mark Murphy is joining us now. Hey, Mark, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. That was pretty funny.
Is it safe to travel to Mexico now?
Yeah, you know what? It is, actually. I just got back. I was just down there last week for some meetings. I've been there about 4 times this year. So, I've been all over Mexico, and I think it's very safe. There are certain areas that aren't, but it's a huge country, and it's about being smart. You know what I mean? You guys talk about gun control, and you talk about, the boats and regulations. It's the same kind of thing. It's the stuff gets blown out of proportion. That lady who was murdered, that was a terrible thing. That happens every freaking day in Chicago, which is the city I was born.
True.
People get shot and killed. People get shot and wounded. Wrong place, wrong time. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. But that family's been to Mexico about 40 times. They love Mexico. And unfortunately, she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and had nothing to do with her or tourism, any of the above.
So it's really about being aware and safe, or to be safe, it's about being aware and knowing what's going on and which parts are going to be trouble for you. Exactly.
And there are areas that no tourist would ever go. I mean, ever go in a million years. There are places that you come to in America as a tourist you would never go to, whether it's safe or not. I mean, like literally the middle of nowhere. There'd be no reason to go. And in some of these places, these are routes for cartels and drugs, and bad stuff happens to the locals there. And there's extortion and all sorts of terrible stuff going on. But again, there's terrible stuff going on here. I mean, I right now I'm in South Jersey. I'm about a stone's throw from Camden, New Jersey. I'm in a beautiful, safe, wonderful town. But if I drive eight miles south, I'll be in the middle of Camden, New Jersey, which isn't exactly, the nicest place to visit, although it's a heck of a lot better than it was 10 years ago.
So are there any obvious places in total, like a big area you could say, don't go there when you travel to Mexico? Or is it pretty much like little pockets here and there?
No, there's some larger areas, but if you look at, the best thing to do is go look at the State Department, the map of Mexico, and there are areas that are just do not travel areas, and they're nowhere near any of the tourist spots. And that's the key to look at. Look where the tourist spots are. Look at where they're telling you to stay away from. And, again, you'd have a really tough time getting to the places they want you to stay away from. You'd have to say, hey, I really want to get there. But for the places that anybody's going to fly into and enjoy a beach vacation or go and see the Mayan ruins, things of that nature, you're not going to be anywhere near that. One thing I wouldn't do as a veteran traveler, I wouldn't rent a car and just go driving around Mexico. I mean, I just would not do that. So those are,
and that's a shame, because that's a great way to see a country too.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing where, because you just don't know where you're going so much, and you might be crossing into that area. Good example is I got a place in New York City. There are places I don't go in New York City. I wouldn't just start walking in one direction and keep going and say, hey, I'm going to be totally fine at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. That's just dumb. We know that. But I'm familiar with New York City and know what to stay away from. Whereas you're in Mexico, you're driving a car on a dark road. Where are you right now?
Yeah.
It's a go place and no go place. Those are always the challenges.
It's difficult when you travel with the language barrier, but also the etiquette barrier. And that's where people end up preying on tourists. I remember just a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, there were a couple of tourists in New York. And I think they may even been from the UK, so they didn't even have the language barrier, the similar language barrier like us traveling to Mexico. And they were scammed out of like $400 with an Uber or some sort of ride share. They were scammed for like $400 or $600. And they were worried, they're going to get arrested or something. They take you to, it's $400. Why didn't know it'd be that much? Well, you got to pay me. And, so you don't know the law and the etiquette. That's when you get preyed upon.
Yeah, and it's funny, things like that. Those con artists are in every spot. So I remember they used to do that. Some cases they would speed up the taxi meter. That happened to me in New York City. I was like, it is not $28 to go down to the World Trade Center, which is years ago, and but that's what the meter said, and I know it was about a $12 ride. So I just wrote down the number and reported him to the Taxi and Limousine Commission and called it a day. Same thing happened to me actually in Prague. I got in a taxi. I went one way to visit a spot. The guy charged me 3 times coming back, a different taxi. And I said, no problem. I said, let's just wait and I'll call the police. And I'll take care of it. If they say I have to pay you the full amount, I'll pay you the full amount. And he yelled at me and cursed and then drove off and didn't take anything.
Right. But that's just it. You have to know how to handle yourself in that situation. That's the key, right?
Exactly. And you don't want to end up in a back alley somewhere, because that's actually happened to me. And it's just like, you know what? I got ripped off for $60, and I was actually in Saigon, and I was just like, okay, fine. It's $60. It isn't the end of the world because it's $60. Now, if it was $6,000,
that's a little rough. Yeah.
Maybe I would have stood my ground a little bit, or maybe I just would have started jogging. Get into high gear. I
hate that feeling of being preyed upon like that. That's the part, especially when I don't have any option. If you're in the back alley and they're robbing you, you're just handing over your money.
You're getting the money, man.
Right.
Money.
But when you're arguing with them and you're like, I know the fare is not that much, that's where you're like, you just need to know how to handle yourself.
Yeah, one of my things too is like, I'm Doc, I don't know if you know, but I'm about to get married in September.
Really?
And little girl wants to go, travel around the world. But here's the thing, like, what if I book, and this is for you, Mark, what if I book something and then I'm like, this kind of shit, I don't want to go there, but I also don't want to lose, the thousands of dollars I just did it for a honeymoon. Is there any way I could like back out without losing that much money?
Well, one of the things you want to do is you want to get travel insurance no matter what. I've had travel writers go to places and get sick and have to be medevaced out. And they had travel insurance that would require them all to have, and it cost the company nothing and it cost them nothing other than their deductible when they got back to the States for whatever medical procedure they needed. There's insurance that'll be for cancel for any reason type of insurance. So if you want to go somewhere, if you just decide you don't want to go, that's a tough one. If you do have insurance that says cancel for any reason, you can cancel. You might lose a few $100, but make sure you don't book something you don't want to go to. What that kind of question is that, man? It's like,
well, I see myself changing my mind real quickly.
But I'm not really sure. But hey, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't even want to get married.
You would understand so much more if you knew Chris well.
Yes,
I was fine with that question. You're right. It makes no sense.
What do you mean? What do you mean we're getting married? I don't know if I want to do that.
Where should people be traveling to now? Where's the top couple of picks around the world that would be good to see?
Well, you know what? I'm telling you, Mexico's great. And what's going to happen come the fall in places like Mexico, you're going to see the prices drop dramatically because fall normally is soft, but the negative news coverage has made it much tougher. To me, I would certainly look there if you want a great all-inclusive experience. I'd look at the Cancun Riviera Maya region for the folks on the East Coast. I would look at the Los Cabos area and Puerto Vallarta on the West Coast. If you're looking for a great deal going north before the end of the summer while the weather's good, I would look to going up to Vancouver or Toronto or Quebec because it's stunning up there and the price has been so cheap. The dollar's gotten a little bit stronger against the Canadian dollar, but it's still, such a deal to go to Canada. And then if you want to go someplace, really far, where it's really cheap once you get there, literally Southeast Asia is an amazing destination. And to me, it doesn't matter whether you go in the summer or the winter. It's either hot or hotter. So if you don't mind hot and muggy, because that's how it is most of the year, it's just an awesome experience. Great food, really dirt cheap. While you're there, you can stay in 5-star resorts for about $100.
Awesome. That's huge. Yeah. That's awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
All right, Mark, how can people find out more about you?
Check me out on Twitter, with Instagram, etc. at Murphy Travels. Same for Facebook. And check out TravelPulse.com. I own that news site. We cover the world of travel news at TravelPulse.com.
Good deal. And we'll post all that on social media. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you joining us today.
Appreciate it. Take
all
care.
Right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.